Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The pounding in his head was relentless. Groaning, he rolled over, the sheets tangling around an unfamiliar body. Something was very wrong. Eyes still squeezed shut against the morning light. He reached up to rub his face and froze. The hand that touched his cheek was smaller, softer, with long manicured nails. What the... The voice that came out was high and melodious, definitely not his own. Heart racing, he sat bolt upright, looking down at a body that was decidedly not the one he'd had when he'd stumbled home last night after far too many drinks. Long, dark hair spilled over slim shoulders. The chest that met his gaze was decidedly feminine. "This can't be happening," he whispered, the unfamiliar voice sending chills down his spine. But as he stood on shaky legs and made his way to the mirror, there was no denying the reality staring back at him. Gone was Abraham, the 30-something software engineer with a stubbly chin and receding hairline. In his place stood a striking woman with wide brown eyes, full lips. He, or rather she, was still wearing the rumpled dress shirt and slacks from the night before, but they hung loosely on the new feminine frame. "I've got to be dreaming," she muttered, pinching her arm. The sharp pain confirmed this was all too real. Flashes of the previous night flickered through her mind. The bar, endless shots, a hazy encounter with a mysterious woman who'd offered him one last drink. Everything after that was a blur. She sank to the floor, head spinning. How was this possible? More importantly, how could she fix it? She needed answers, but first she needed to get dressed. These clothes were practically falling off. Reluctantly, she opened the closet, dreading what she might find. To her relief, Abraham's familiar wardrobe greeted her. Button-downs, slacks, sensible shoes. But as she reached for a shirt, her hand brushed against something silky. Frowning, she pushed aside the familiar clothes to reveal an entire section she'd never seen before. Dresses in jewel tones, flowing blouses, pencil skirts, even lingerie. Her cheeks burned as she fingered the lacy fabric. Where had all this come from? A tag caught her eye. She peered closer, her stomach dropping as she read the name. "Amira." "Amira," she whispered. The name felt right on her tongue, as if she'd been saying it her whole life, which was ridiculous, of course. She was Abraham, always had been. But as she stared at her reflection, taking in the graceful neck, the delicate features, the fall of dark hair, she couldn't deny that Amira seemed to fit this new body far better than Abraham ever could. With trembling hands, she selected a simple navy dress and stepped into it, marveling at how it fit her new body. A pair of low heels completed the look. She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. Time to face the world and figure out what the hell was going on. The next few days passed in a blur as Amira struggled to navigate her new reality. Simple tasks became ordeals. Using the bathroom, getting dressed, even walking in heels. She marveled at how much time it took just to style her hair and apply makeup. Work proved to be its own challenge. She'd called in sick the first day, overwhelmed by the transformation, but she couldn't hide forever. Heart pounding, she'd walked into the office on Tuesday morning, bracing for shocked reactions. To her astonishment, no one batted an eye. Colleagues greeted her warmly, calling her Amira as if they'd known her for years. Her employee ID even showed her new face and name. It was as if Abraham had never existed. Now it was Friday, and Amira found herself at a trendy salon, still trying to piece together what had happened that fateful night. As the stylist worked on her hair, another memory surfaced. The bar was crowded, music pulsing. Abraham knocked back another shot, the room spinning pleasantly. A woman sidled up, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "You look like you could use a change," she purred. "Care to try something transformative?" Abraham laughed, beyond caring at this point. "Sure, why not?" Hit me with your best shot." The woman's smile widened as she pressed a glowing purple drink into his hand. "All done, honey." The stylist's cheerful voice snapped Amira back to the present. She blinked at her reflection, admiring the soft waves framing her face. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "Thank you." As she left the salon, Amira's steps faltered. What now? She'd been so focused on survival this week, she hadn't stopped to consider the bigger picture. Was this permanent? Did she want it to be? Her phone buzzed with a text from a name she didn't recognize. "Drinks tonight? The girls are dying to see you?" Amira's thumb hovered over the screen. Part of her longed to hide away, to keep pretending this wasn't happening, but a growing voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was an opportunity. The chance to experience life from a whole new perspective. Taking a deep breath, she typed back, "Count me in, where and when?" The response came quickly. "Awesome, meet at Lola's 8 p.m. Wear that red dress, you know the guys can't resist you in it." Amira's cheeks flushed. She had no idea which dress they meant, but the idea of being found attractive was intriguing. She'd always been awkward as Abraham, never quite comfortable in social situations, but Amira seemed to glide through life with an easy confidence. As she made her way home, another memory flickered to life. The purple liquid burned going down. Abraham coughed, his vision blurring. The mysterious woman's face swam before him, her words echoing strangely. "The change has begun. Embrace your true self, Amira." He tried to protest, to say that wasn't his name, but the words wouldn't come. The room tilted, and everything went dark. Amira shook her head, trying to clear the fog. That woman clearly held the key to what had happened. But how to find her? For now, she had more pressing concerns, like figuring out which dress was the infamous red one, and how exactly one went about flirting as a woman. Hours later, Amira stood before the mirror, barely recognizing herself. The red dress hugged every curve, the neckline dipping low enough to make her blush. She'd managed a smoky eye and red lip thanks to countless YouTube tutorials. Her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders. "You can do this," she told her reflection. "It's just drinks with friends. Friends you don't remember, but still." The Uber ride to the bar was nerve-wracking. Amira's palms were sweaty as she clutched her small purse. She'd never realized how vulnerable it felt to go out at night as a woman, hyper-aware of every glance thrown her way. "Amira, over here!" She turned at the sound of her name, spotting a group of women waving enthusiastically from a corner booth. Taking a deep breath, she made her way over. "Girl, you look hot!" A bubbly blonde pulled her into a hug. "That breakup was the best thing that ever happened to you. You're glowing." "Breakup?" Amira's mind raced. "Oh, thanks," she managed, sliding into the booth. The next few hours were a whirlwind of cocktails, laughter, and gossip. Amira found herself relaxing, caught up in the easy camaraderie. These women knew things about her life she didn't even know herself, but somehow it felt right. As the night wore on, she excused herself to the restroom. The line was long, and Amira couldn't help but marvel at the marked difference from men's rooms. Women chatted easily, complimenting each other's outfits and sharing makeup touches. "Hey, you okay?" The woman behind her touched her arm gently. "You look a little overwhelmed." Amira managed a smile. "Just taking it all in, I guess. It's been a weird week." The woman nodded sympathetically. "I hear that, but hey, at least you're out and about. Nothing helps get over a guy like a girl's night out, right?" "Right," Amira agreed, her mind whirling. Who was this ex she'd supposedly broken up with? Had that been part of her transformation too? As she washed her hands, another memory surfaced. Abraham's eyes fluttered open, head pounding. He was in a salon? Mirrors surrounded him, and a stylist was putting the finishing touches on long, dark hair. His hair? "There we go, sweetie. What do you think?" He blinked at the reflection, struggling to comprehend. The face staring back was undeniably feminine, with wide eyes and full lips. It was beautiful. It's perfect," he heard himself say. the voice high and musical. Amira gripped the sink, the memory fading as quickly as it had come, so the transformation hadn't been instantaneous. There were gaps in her memory, moments when Abraham had still been present in this new body. She made her way back to the table, her mind racing. What other memories were locked away? And did she even want to unlock them? The night wore on, and Amira found herself genuinely enjoying the company of these women who seemed to know her so well. They swapped stories of bad dates and workplace drama, offering support and advice with easy familiarity. As last call approached, the blonde, whose name Amira had learned was Melissa, leaned in conspiratorially. So, spill. Any promising prospects on the horizon? It's been weeks since the big breakup. Amira hesitated, unsure how to respond. I'm taking things slow, still figuring myself out, you know? Melissa nodded sagely. Totally get it. Self-care is so important after a relationship ends, but when you're ready to get back out there... She gestured subtly towards the bar, where a tall, dark-haired man had been stealing glances their way all night. Amira's cheeks flushed. The idea of dating as a woman was intimidating, to say the least, but she couldn't deny the little thrill that ran through her at the attention. Maybe, she said noncommittally. We'll see. As they gathered their things to leave, Amira's phone buzzed with a text. Her heart skipped a beat as she read the name, Jason. The message was simple. Hey, can we talk? Ooh, is that him? Melissa peered over her shoulder. The ex? Girl, don't you dare respond. He had his chance. Amira stared at the screen, conflicted. Was this the boyfriend she'd supposedly broken up with? The one she had no memory of? I should at least hear him out, she found herself saying. For closure, you know? Her friends exchanged concerned looks, but didn't push it. They said their goodbyes outside the bar, extracting promises to meet up again soon. As Amira waited for her Uber, she typed out a response with trembling fingers. Okay, when and where? The reply came almost immediately. Tomorrow, coffee at Joe's, 2 p.m. She took a deep breath, hitting send before she could second-guess herself. See you then. The next day dawned bright and clear. Amira stood before her closet, agonizing over what to wear. She settled on a soft sweater and jeans, aiming for a casual but put together. As she applied her makeup, a task that was becoming easier with each passing day. Another memory flickered to life. The mysterious woman from the bar stood before him, smiling enigmatically. Abraham's head was foggy, his limbs heavy. The potion will reshape more than just your body, she said. Your very life will be rewritten. But fear not, the essence of who you are remains. This is simply an awakening. He tried to protest, to demand answers, but his tongue felt thick in his mouth. The woman's form blurred, shifting into someone else entirely. Amira blinked, the memory fading. She gripped the edge of the vanity, heart racing. So it hadn't just been a physical transformation. Her entire life had been rewritten. But why? And how much of Abraham truly remained? She pushed the questions aside for now. She had a coffee date. Was it a date? To get to. The walk to the cafe was nerve-wracking. Amira's palms were sweaty as she pushed open the door, scanning the room for a face she realized she wouldn't recognize. Amira. She turned at the sound of her name, coming face to face with a handsome man in his early 30s. His green eyes were warm but wary as they met hers. Jason, she said, the name feeling foreign on her tongue. He stood, pulling out a chair for her. The gesture was gentlemanly, but Amira couldn't help feeling a bit unsettled. She was used to being the one holding doors and pulling out chairs. Thanks for meeting me, Jason said as they settled in. I know things ended messily between us, but I miss you, Amira. I think we gave up too easily. Amira's mind raced. She had no idea what had caused their supposed breakup, or even how long they'd been together. I'm not sure what to say, she admitted. Jason reached across the table, taking her hand. The touch sent an unexpected jolt through her. I know I messed up. I took you for granted, focused too much on work, but I want to make it right. Give us another chance? Amira stared at their joined hands, conflicted. Part of her, the part that was still Abraham, wanted to pull away, to explain that this was all a huge misunderstanding, but another part, a growing part, was drawn to this man and the life he represented. "I need some time," she heard herself say, "to figure things out." Jason nodded, looking disappointed but understanding. "Of course, take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready." As they parted ways outside the cafe, Amira felt a strange mix of relief and longing. She had no real connection to this man, and yet there was an undeniable pull. Lost in thought, she didn't notice the figure watching from across the street. The mysterious woman from the bar smiled to herself, pleased with how things were progressing. Amira was embracing her new life, just as planned. Soon, the transformation would be complete. The following week brought new challenges as Amira continued to navigate her transformed life. Work remained a surreal experience. She found herself easily handling tasks that would have baffled Abraham, while struggling with things that had once been second nature. Her colleagues seemed oblivious to any changes, treating her with a mix of professional respect and casual familiarity. More than once, Amira caught herself in the middle of conversations about past events she had no memory of, nodding along and hoping her reaction seemed natural. As Friday approached, Amira found herself both dreading and anticipating the weekend. Her phone had been buzzing with invitations. Brunch with the girls, a yoga class, even a reminder about a book club meeting. It seemed Amira's social calendar was far more active than Abraham's had ever been. But it was a text from Jason that truly set her pulse racing. "Dinner tomorrow night, that new Italian place you've been wanting to try." Amira stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the screen. Part of her wanted to say no, to retreat into the safety of her apartment and continue trying to make sense of her new reality. But a growing voice urged her to embrace this life, to see where it might lead. "Sounds great," she typed back before she could second-guess herself. "Pick me up at 7? As she hit send, another memory flickered to life. Abraham stood before a full-length mirror, barely recognizing the figure reflected back. The mysterious woman from the bar circled him, making small adjustments to the dress he now wore. "Remember," she said, her voice echoing strangely, "this is who you truly are. Amira has always been a part of you. Now she's free to flourish." He wanted to argue, to insist this wasn't him, but as he stared at the reflection, he couldn't deny the rightness he felt in this form. Amira gasped, the memory fading as quickly as it had come. She gripped the edge of her desk, struggling to steady her breathing. These flashes were becoming more frequent, filling in the gaps of her transformation, but they left her with more questions than answers. Who was that woman? And what did she mean about Amira always being a part of him? The rest of the workday passed in a blur. As Amira packed up her things, a colleague stopped by her desk. "Hey, we're grabbing drinks at O'Malley's. You in?" Amira hesitated. Part of her longed for the familiar routine of after-work beers that had been Abraham's go-to, but she wasn't Abraham anymore. And the idea of returning to the bar where this all began was unsettling. "Thanks, but I've got plans," she heard herself say. "Maybe next time?" Her coworker nodded, looking unsurprised. "No worries. Have fun with the book club." Amira blinked. Right, the book club she'd completely forgotten about. She made a mental note to look up whatever novel they were meant to be discussing. As she made her way home, Amira found herself hyper-aware of her surroundings in a way Abraham never had been. She noticed the appreciative glances thrown her way, but also the occasional leer that made her skin crawl. The simple act of walking down the street felt different in this body. More exposed, more vulnerable. At home, Amira stood before her closet, agonizing over what to wear to dinner the next night. The dresses that had appeared along with her transformation still felt foreign, but she couldn't deny their appeal. Her hand lingered on a deep green number that hugged her curves in all the right places. As she slipped it on, another memory surfaced. The mysterious woman led Abraham, no, Amira now, through a high-end boutique. Dresses and accessories surrounded them, a dizzying array of colors and fabrics. "Your new life requires a new wardrobe," the woman said, selecting items with practiced ease. "These will help you embrace your true self." Amira's protests died on her lips as she caught sight of herself in a mirror. The elegant dress she wore seemed to awaken something deep within. Amira blinked, the memory fading. She stared at her reflection, marveling at how natural she looked in the green dress. It was as if her body had always been meant for this. The next evening found Amira pacing nervously in her apartment, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from her dress. She'd spent hours on her hair and makeup, wanting everything to be perfect. But for whom? The man she was meeting, or herself? A knock at the door made her jump. Taking a deep breath, she opened it to find Jason standing there, looking dashing in a well-tailored suit. His eyes widened appreciatively as he took her in. "Wow," he breathed. "You look incredible." Amira felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "Thanks," she murmured. "You clean up pretty well yourself." The drive to the restaurant was filled with slightly awkward small talk. Amira found herself constantly on guard, worried she'd slip up and reveal her lack of shared history, but Jason seemed content to focus on the present, filling her in on work developments and mutual friends. At the restaurant, Amira marveled at the easy way Jason guided her with a hand at the small of her back, pulling out her chair and ordering wine with practiced ease. She'd never been on the receiving end of such attentions before and found herself both flattered and slightly uncomfortable. As they perused the menu, Jason reached across the table to take her hand. "I'm really glad you agreed to this," he said softly. "I've missed you, Amira. These past few weeks without you have been empty." Amira's heart raced. She searched his face, seeing genuine affection there. Part of her wanted to pull away, to explain that she wasn't who he thought she was, but another part, a growing part, longed to lean into this connection. "I've missed you too," she heard herself say, surprising herself with the truth of it. She might not remember their history, but she couldn't deny the pull she felt towards this man. The rest of the evening passed in a pleasant blur of good food, easy conversation, and lingering glances. Amira found herself relaxing, genuinely enjoying Jason's company. He was attentive without being overbearing, funny without trying too hard. She could see why Amira, the real Amira, had been drawn to him. As they left the restaurant, Jason's hand found the small of her back again. The touch sent a shiver through her. "Can I walk you home?" he asked softly. Amira hesitated. This was moving fast. Too fast, perhaps. But the wine and the romantic atmosphere had lowered her defenses. "I'd like that," she found herself saying. The walk back to her apartment was quiet, comfortable. Amira was acutely aware of Jason's presence beside her, the occasional brush of his arm against hers. When they reached her door, she turned to face him, suddenly nervous. "I had a wonderful time," Jason said, his voice low. He stepped closer, one hand coming up to cup her cheek. "Amira, Whatever he was going to say was lost as his lips met hers. The kiss was soft, tentative at first, but quickly deepened. Amira's head spun, her body responding in ways she'd never experienced before. This was nothing like kissing as Abraham had been. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Amira's mind was reeling. Part of her wanted to invite him in, to see where this newfound passion might lead. But another part, the part that was still adjusting to this new reality, held back. "Good night, Jason," she said softly, reaching for her keys. He nodded, looking a bit dazed himself. "Good night, Amira. Can I call you tomorrow?" She smiled, surprising herself with how natural it felt. "I'd like that." As she closed the door behind her, Amira leaned against it, her heart racing. What was she doing? This wasn't her life, not really, and yet it felt more right than anything had in a long time. Across town, the mysterious woman from the bar smiled to herself. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Amira was embracing her new life, just as she'd known she would. Soon, the transformation would be complete, and Abraham would be nothing more than a distant memory. But for now, Amira stood in her apartment, caught between two worlds. As she got ready for bed, she couldn't help but wonder, who was she really? Abraham, the man she'd been for 3 decades? Or Amira, the woman she was becoming? The answer, she was beginning to realize, might be more complicated than she'd ever imagined. The next morning, Amira woke to the sound of her phone buzzing. A text from Jason lit up the screen. "Last night was amazing. Brunch today?" She smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. But as she sat up, reality came crashing back. This wasn't her life. Not really. She was living someone else's existence, complete with a boyfriend and friends she didn't truly know. Conflicted, she typed out a response. "Rain check? Not feeling great this morning?" It wasn't entirely a lie. Her head was spinning with the implications of everything that had happened. She needed time to think, to try and make sense of it all. As she made her way to the kitchen for coffee, another memory flickered to life. The mysterious woman stood before her, smiling enigmatically. Abraham, struggled to focus, the world around them hazy and indistinct. "The transformation is nearly complete," the woman said. "Soon Abraham will fade away entirely. But remember, this is who you were always meant to be. Embrace it." Amira wanted to protest, to insist that this wasn't right, but as she caught sight of her reflection, she couldn't deny the sense of rightness that filled her. Gasping, Amira gripped the kitchen counter, the memory fading as quickly as it had come. Her hands shook as she poured her coffee, mind racing. The woman had said Abraham would fade away? Was that what was happening? With each passing day, each new memory of this life, was she losing touch with who she had been? The thought should have terrified her, but instead she felt an unexpected sense of relief, as if a weight she hadn't even known she was carrying was slowly lifting. Determined to clear her head, Amira decided to go for a run, something Abraham had always enjoyed. But as she laced up her sneakers, she realized even this simple act felt different in her new body. Her center of gravity had shifted, her stride altered by the new distribution of weight. As she jogged through the park, Amira found herself marveling at the way her body moved. It felt right, in a way she couldn't quite explain. The bounce of her ponytail, the sway of her hips, it all came naturally, as if she'd been doing this her whole life. Lost in thought, she almost collided with another runner coming around a bend. "Whoa, sorry," she exclaimed, stepping aside. The man grinned, giving her an appreciative once-over. "No problem at all. I'm John, by the way." Amira hesitated, unsure how to respond. As Abraham, she'd never had to deal with random men approaching her like this. "Amira," she found herself saying. "Nice to meet you." John's smile widened. "Amira. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. Listen, I know this is forward, but would you maybe want to grab a coffee sometime?" She blinked, taken aback by his boldness. Part of her, the part that was still Abraham, wanted to decline immediately, but another part, a growing part, was flattered by the attention. "I'm actually seeing someone," she heard herself say. It wasn't entirely true, but it felt right in the moment. John looked disappointed, but nodded respectfully. "Of course. Well, it was worth a shot. Have a great run, Amira." As he jogged away, Amira found herself smiling. The interaction had been surprising, but not unpleasant. Is this what it was like to move through the world as an attractive woman? The rest of her run passed in a blur of self-reflection. By the time she made it back to her apartment, Amira felt different, more settled in her skin, somehow. As she showered and got dressed, she found herself gravitating towards the feminine clothes that had appeared in her closet. The flowy blouse and fitted jeans felt natural now, like a second skin. Her phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. "Girls' night tonight? That cute new bartender is working again." Amira hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. Part of her wanted to say no, to retreat into solitude and continue trying to make sense of everything. But a stronger part longed for connection, for the easy camaraderie she'd experienced with these women who seemed to know her so well. "Count me in," she typed back. "What time?" As she hit send, Amira caught sight of herself in the mirror. The woman staring back was confident, put together. She looked happy. For the first time since this transformation began, Amira allowed herself to consider a startling possibility. What if this wasn't a mistake? What if this really was who she was meant to be all along? The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it filled her with an unexpected sense of peace. Whatever happened next, she was beginning to realize she was exactly where she needed to be. As the sun set, casting long shadows across her apartment, Amira finished getting ready for girls' night. She'd spent far longer on her hair and makeup than Abraham ever would have dreamed of, but the results were undeniably worth it. The woman staring back from the mirror was polished, confident, and undeniably feminine. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jason. "Hope you're feeling better, miss you." Amira's heart fluttered. She typed back a quick response. "Much better, thanks. Have fun with the boys tonight." It was strange, she mused as she grabbed her purse, how easily she was slipping into this life. She had no memory of making plans with Jason, and yet she knew, somehow, that he had a guys' night out planned. The Uber ride to the bar was filled with a mix of excitement and nerves. As Abraham, she'd never been one for big social outings, but Amira, it seemed, thrived on them. "Amira, over here!" She spotted Melissa waving from a corner booth, surrounded by familiar faces. Taking a deep breath, Amira made her way over, sliding into the seat they'd saved for her. "Girl, you look hot!" Melissa exclaimed, eyeing her appreciatively. "If I swung that way, I'd be all over you." Amira felt her cheeks heat up, still not entirely used to such frank compliments. "Thanks," she managed. "You all look amazing, too." The next few hours passed in a whirlwind of cocktails, laughter, and gossip. Amira found herself relaxing, genuinely enjoying the company of these women. They swapped stories of work drama and relationship woes, offering support and advice with easy familiarity. As the night wore on, Amira excused herself to the restroom. As she washed her hands, she caught sight of herself in the mirror and paused. The woman staring back was flushed with alcohol and laughter, her eyes sparkling. She looked happy, truly, genuinely happy in a way Abraham had rarely been. The realization hit her like a physical blow. This wasn't just some bizarre accident or cruel joke of fate. This was right. She was Amira, had always been Amira, deep down, even if she hadn't known it. As she made her way back to the table, another memory flickered to life. The mysterious woman stood before her, a knowing smile on her face. "The choice is yours, Abraham. Embrace who you truly are, or remain trapped in a life that never quite fit. What will it be?" She hesitated, torn between fear and a deep, unnameable longing. Finally, she reached out, taking the glowing purple drink from the woman's hand. Amira gasped, the memory fading as quickly as it had come. She gripped the edge of the table, steadying herself. "You okay, hun?" Melissa asked, concern etched on her face. Amira took a deep breath, a smile spreading across her face. "Yeah," she said softly. "Yeah, I'm great, actually." And she meant it. For the first time since this wild journey began, she felt truly at peace. This was who she was meant to be, who she had always been deep down. As the night wore on, the group of friends found themselves more than a little tipsy. The cocktails kept flowing, and with each round, their laughter grew louder, their stories more animated. Amira, caught up in the whirlwind of camaraderie and alcohol, felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced in years. Melissa, her cheeks flushed with drink, leaned in conspiratorially. "You know what we should do tomorrow?" she said, her voice low but vibrant with excitement. "A spa day, my treat." Thanks for watching. The rest won't be viewable on YouTube, so check out Patreon if you want more. I hope you have a wonderful day, my cutie.